What's going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster back here on this end of the weekend, Sunday, right? Sunday night, August 27th, 2023. It's about 11:09 p.m. here, California time, and latest activity. It looks like a 1.7 up here in the Alaska region. That's the latest earthquake activity. I did see some movement out around the Ohio area earlier this evening. We'll check that out here in just a little bit, but I do want to jump into the latest information here from Tropical Storm Idalia. I was calling this Idalia for a little bit, and Missy Mimi's corrected me. I like the name Idalia. Okay. Idalia here is now a tropical storm, obviously, and it does pose some potential damage here for the Florida area, for the folks in Florida. Current statement here shows 60 mile per hour sustained wind. We are gaining strength very rapidly. It is movement right now. It looks like stationary. Here's some of the key messages that are being produced from the National Hurricane Center. It is expected to become a hurricane by the time it reaches the southeastern Gulf of Mexico, and it could be near or at major hurricane strength when it reaches the Gulf Coast of Florida. So this is a major deal, something to pay attention to. Do not ignore what's going on out here in the tropics right now. This is expected to be potentially a major hurricane for the Florida area. There is currently some warnings up for the Florida area right now in the pink. That is a hurricane watch. Okay, that's pretty advanced. A couple days out. These guys are serious about it. We're looking at some major potential here across the western areas of Florida. Right now, hurricane warnings out here across portions of Cuba. They're in the red, but in the blue, tropical storm warnings. Of course, these are away from the center area of circulation, away from the the most damaging winds out there. South here, the pink area, that's going to be some tropical storm watches. Now, this is expected to change here probably, I'm guessing maybe late Monday. Early Tuesday morning, we should see maybe some hurricane warnings come up here across the area of Florida. Right now, these are watches, so this is just one step below the warning. Once we get a warning coming in, it's on. 60 mile per hour sustained winds again. Maximum sustained winds. Stationary is movement. As we look at the, let's see here, where's our satellite imagery? We'll check on that here in just a second. Let me grab. I don't want to delete that. There's some important information there with regards to the Chile area. I want to look at the satellite imagery out here, and I could check out many different ones, but let's check out the tropical tidbits here. This is the latest area here in the infrared. This is the brightness, the temperature reading, some colder air up there, way up there. Get some colder air clouds. So this area right now, area of circulation, is presently stationary, so it's not going anywhere. That's what the National Hurricane Center has proclaimed. So that means, well, it's basically sitting in an area that's pretty warm as far as oceanic temperature, and it's just going to sit there and bubble and boil for a little bit before heading off towards the northeast. Towards Florida. Right now, the tracks here are pretty consistent with landfall just north of the Tampa area. Notice this is getting a little bit further east. Earlier this morning and last night, this was a little bit more centered here around the Tallahassee area. So most models right now are in agreement. Excuse me. That we're looking at a landfall a little bit further east on the path here, and that's the model track guidance once again. Let's look at the tropical storm Idalia, or Idalia. See, I told you guys I would say it. That was not intentional either. That just came out. I love that name. Now we're looking at more of the models forecasting a stronger hurricane. Remember, I kind of chatted about this earlier. Watch for the models. We're looking at least maybe a Category 2, maybe Category 3 strength. We're getting some of those models stretching up as we look at the model intensity guidance here from the tropicaltidbits.com site. This is not going to be no joke out there. These guys are These models are pretty accurate when it comes to the forecasting of the hurricane strength out here. Excuse me. So, yeah, we definitely have to watch this pretty closely. All right, latest information, the cone statement right here. 1 a.m. Central Daylight Time. It's actually that late? Goodness. I was outside catching some bugs with my dog. He was out there kind of looking for some rats out in the field as well. All right. Latest landfall potential, it looks like, 7 a.m. Wednesday. Now, I think it's going to happen a little bit sooner in between. I'd probably say roughly around 1 a.m. on Wednesday, early morning. I think we'll see that landfall take place. These guys are kind of stating it a little bit later. Now, that could be the reason, the lateness here, because of the stationary activity that's taking place right now, right? Movement is stationary. So we got this cluster of, it's getting organized. We got 60 mile per hour sustained winds, and there's nothing holding it back. There's no high pressure that's going to squash it. There's no upper level winds that are going to shred it. And there's a lot of warm water out here across the Caribbean, Western Caribbean here. Jamaica, Gulf of Mexico is loaded with lots of warm oceanic water. So this thing will feed off of that and gain some strength. The question is, how much stronger is this thing going to get? Right now, some models are forecasting that Hurricane 3 strength category. So we'll watch it. This is not going away, folks. This is not something that's going to go away. So you guys got to be prepared out there across this area of Florida. There's already some state of emergencies being produced out here across the area for many different counties here in Florida. That was issued by the governor a couple days ago, right? Or about a day or so ago. So we'll continue to watch this for development. The latest, let's go ahead and check out a couple different weather models out here. Okay, let's check out some weather models, what they think will happen. Right now, these are just guesstimates, so to speak. This is a GFS model here. Look at the Gulf of Mexico. Right, got this hurricane venturing off to the Atlantic. No threat to the states. But, it's looks like potentially 955 on the pressure there for this hurricane as it heads into the area of Florida. Now, that's a pretty significant hurricane if this holds out. This is just one model, but it's all, most of these models are pretty consistent with the area of initial eyewall landfall here. That's a GFS. Let's check out the lower dynamics here on the height and wind map. Kind of give us a good indicator as well. Look at that. It's just, the thing is, this thing is just gaining strength over the warmer water, intensifying right before landfall. Sometimes these are the most dangerous hurricanes as they are intensifying. And some of those wind speeds up there, obviously, well up above 100 miles an hour, venturing right into the area in Florida. As you can see that map, look at that. So that is the GFS model. There's a couple other models here that we can look at from the, let's check out the Windy map here. Let's see where these guys are at. Windy is a beautiful app. I admire this app 100% because there's so much you can do with it. For a weather guy, I love this. There's a hurricane symbol up here. When you click on that, that gives you pretty much the same thing as what Tropical Tidbits has up on their site as well. You can select basically what storm you want to track. And we're going to track, obviously, Idalia. I almost said it again. As we're looking at 60 mile per hour sustained winds, 29.23 in inches there in the barometric pressure. And this is the National Hurricane Center model. There's a couple other models out here that, there's only a slight variation, I would say. But right now, the most accurate model, I think, is going to be the National Hurricane Center model. And as we look at that, potentially Category 2, that's some strong damaging winds right there. Coming in just north of, west of Gainesville, north of Tampa, but Tampa does sit in the cone of uncertainty. So this could be a little south, it could be a little north. That's why that cone of uncertainty is issued out here. And either way, it looks like this area of Florida is going to be in the impact zone. Jenna area, it looks like, could be very close here to the eyewall area. But Cedar Key, goodness, you're right there in the target. So a lot of storm surge potential out here. I was just looking at that. Where'd it go? Let me see if I can find that back out here. I was looking at the storm. Let's go back here. For Idalia area, it's going to be this region right here. Look at the storm surge potential here. It's a little on the blurry side, but this map shows potential of up to 11 feet in storm surge right here in this red area. Up to about 9 feet in the orange, and up to about 6 feet there in the yellow. So if you're in this red zone here, that's just north of, goodness, I wish this map was a little bit clearer. Let me see here. I guess, yeah, there we go. That'd probably help out, right? Let me bring out my glasses so I could see better. No, let's just click on a different model. So here's a little bit clearer view. Up to 11 feet here again. Goodness, look at that. That's some significant storm surge potential out here. This is a forecast. As you can look down here towards the Tampa Bay area, they're looking at 4 to 7 feet, 3 to 5 feet south of here, less as you get towards the East Cape Sable area. But this area right here is the most region, well, at least the most potential here of seeing that major storm surge. And this is just an estimate forecast, so this could be much higher, could be potentially lower. Looking at the potential rainfall accumulation out here, goodness, Tallahassee is going to get some significant rain out there. We're talking about, well, anywhere between 6 to 10 inches of rainfall, similar to what California has seen here recently down there in the SoCal area with Tropical Storm Hillary. Brought in quite a bit of rainfall. But I think, this is a little bit different scenario. We got some warmer waters, nothing cutting off the flow. This could potentially be a flooding concern out here across portions of Florida. Flash flooding potential. Here's your flash flooding. Slight category out here across western portions of Florida and up into Savannah area, Georgia, Tallahassee area. All have a potential of some flooding out there. As far as storm surge, here's a little warning from these guys. Storm surge is rising water moving inland from the shoreline. Obviously, we get that, right? Pushed onshore from the force of the wind. The storm surge watch warning graphic identifies locations most at risk for life-threatening inundation from the storm surge. I understand. I get it. So, storm surge watch in effect right now. There's no warning up, but there's this whole area of uncertainty with the term of storm surge watch right now. So I'm sure this will be updated once we get a better path of where the hurricane's going to hit. Here's another weather model of tropical storm force wind probabilities. And this goes till about 7 p.m. on Friday, September 1st. So, and this is all based off of a weather model still in that same path there, north of Tampa. Good possibility there. Obviously, almost 100% tropical storm force winds. So, storm surge inundation. This is a little different. This shows the area of low-lying regions across St. Petersburg, Sarasota area. Obviously, if you're out here, Run Holmes Beach area south, Longboat Key, these are the areas to not be hanging out in, because you have that potential of seeing the ground below disappear and water rise above. So, you know, greater than 6 feet above the ground is some of these areas is what we're looking at. There is some red areas out here, and that's greater than 9 feet above the ground. So these are the storm surge. This area that's typically ground that you could maybe walk on along the beach is not going to be there. So that will be at least 9 feet under the water. So these areas right here kind of give you a good indicator of where not to be, folks. So move inland if you can. Listen to your local authorities in terms of evacuation orders or whatnot. It's kind of a big deal. Definitely have to watch what's going on here, folks, with soon-to-be Hurricane Idalia. All right, I do have a live stream up running right now that shows a satellite imagery of the tropical storm out there, along with the latest information there from the National Hurricane Center. So I just want to show you guys here real quick the animation loops here for tonight. This is the area of interest right now. It's stationary, and this is just the last 24 hours. Notice the darkness out here, but it definitely has increased in terms of intensity, and it looks as though, you know, it might look like the area may be going down south, but that's not going to be the case. These are I think those are some of the higher clouds out there being, or at least, well, it's hard to tell, maybe the lower clouds being sucked into the area of circulation. But this is expected to be caught up with this low pressure system up here off the coast of the Panhandle, Florida area, and that will obviously make its way northeastward throughout the next couple days, with landfall expected in Florida super early, a Wednesday morning. So now's the time to be prepared. Tomorrow we'll get a better idea of where this thing's at, how strong it's going to be. But right now, models are forecasting this thing to be stronger than what we've seen a day or so ago. So there's no sign of it weakening. That's the latest information there on Tropical Storm Idalia. Now, right now, earthquake activity. Well, let's get into the area out here across Ohio. Goodness, outside of Madison. Seen a 4.0, but the USGS decided to downgrade this to a 3.6. It was felt over a broad area here across Ohio, with many reports coming in there. 140 reports, at least with this area, zip code 44057 near Madison. 140 reports. Quite a few people commenting there on my video of feeling this earthquake as well. The downgrade reason, I don't know. But that's what they decided to do. We have looked at historical data out here, and it looks like they have seen some 4s and mid-4s over the past 20 or 30 years or so. And it almost looks like time was, well, it was due to see almost a 4-pointer in this area. The region out here, let's see here, stand by for a second. The region out here does not see a lot of earthquake activity. The U.S. Hazard Fault System does have it within a slight area of the potential for some earthquake activity. It's not really around any major faults, but again, you got the Appalachian Mountains. There's other faults out here, some smaller ones. And of course, the New Madrid seismic zone down here south, that's a major player in producing some large earthquakes. So, you know, it's rare, definitely, to see some earthquake activity out here. That's why it's in the red. A 3.6 is in the red out here around Madison. Did see a little bit of aftershock activity as well with a 2.3. Now, the potential to see something greater around here, there's not a whole lot of stress out here far as the dynamics go with faults and plate boundaries. This is an intraplate type fault system that sits out here west of the Appalachian Mountains. I think the largest we've seen out here was maybe a 4 to a 5.0 in this area. All right, looking at the west coast, things lighten up here over the past 24 hours. Got one earthquake out here, right smack dab on the Brawley seismic zone near the Westmoreland area. The San Andreas Fault, the southern branch here, somewhat quiet for now, but that won't be the case for too long. 1.1 also outside of the San Bernardino mountain range. I don't think we see anything major going on as far as earthquake activity there today, but definitely kicking up in terms of microquake movement. Also outside of the Los Angeles area as well. Got a little bit of swarm out here in the Coso Basin. This is just off of the I think that's a Little Lake or the airport fault here. This is the one that produced the earthquakes back in 2019, the 6-pointer and then the 7-pointer, right, that kicked up here outside of Ridgecrest a few years back. So a little bit of activity stirring up there tonight. Also around the creeping segment of the San Andreas Fault. Mostly smaller microquakes there tonight. A little bit of activity stirring up out here across this major monster called the Cascadia Subduction Zone. It looks like the latest earthquake was a 2.0, about 18 kilometers deep. Let's go ahead and check out the let's check out the tremor map tonight and see what we have. 100 and goodness, look at that. Can you guys spot the subduction zone out there? That's most of the time it's confined to one area or the other. This is spread out over a good portion of the Cascadia subduction zone. What that means? Well, it definitely means that we got some strain out here up against that subduction zone area. What's it going to take to produce that 9-pointer one day? Well, I don't have a crystal ball, and your guess is as good as mine. So it's just, we know that it's been 323 years since the last major rupture out here of the Cascadia subduction zone. Could happen anytime, so good thing to be prepared out there. The folks in the Pacific Northwest know about it. Or at least they should, hopefully. Yellowstone looks pretty quiet, but as always, I do want to go over and double check the Yellowstone area. And there's some, pretty certain those are some wind events earlier today. I don't think that's earthquake activity. It did show up over here as well, a little bit west of the area. There's some earthquake activity, though. I'm kind of curious about that. Looks like a mix of earthquake activity following this wind event. Well, goodness. Now I'm a little curious out here. See what we got for the last weather radar out here across the area of northwestern Wyoming here. Well, I think it's the last 6 hours, right? Are we right? Where's that at? Yeah. So let's go check out the last 6 hours and see what we got. There's definitely some thunderstorm activity that's popping up out here across the... well, that's... I don't want 1 hour ago. I want 6 hours ago. Why did that do that? Come on. Come on, Windy. Let's get the show on the road here. All right, 6 hours ago. West Yellowstone sits right up here. This is the Yellowstone area. There we go. Look at those storms popping up there. I think it was prior to that. There's a lot of thunder and lightning out here across this area. And that wind, the thunderstorms were missing quite a bit of data out here, it looks like, from one weather radar imagery. But we've seen this before. Now, if I had seen this type of activity without any weather events out here, I'd look a little bit deeper. But there's no need to look deeper because this is weather related out here. It's not magma. It's not intrusion of magma. That is just, that's a fact. I'm not for sure why this whole thing just got closed down. Look at that. Do you guys see that? The entire browser just got closed down. What was up with that? All right, somebody's having fun, it looks like, here tonight. You guys see that? We still live? Looks like we are. All right, I don't know. Start talking about stuff and I get shut down. All right. The area here around the Clear Lake volcanic field, seeing a little bit of activity here. Looks like within the last half hour or so. That's the Calpine hydrothermal operations. They have a very kind of a gross process there of creating energy. I'm not going to go into that right now because I want to eat before I go to bed. The Alaska area, fairly minimal Hawaii area looks like some things kicking up here across the Kilauea volcano in the last couple hours. Mostly smaller microquakes out here. Let's go ahead and double check the latest informational statement here from the HVO, which was put out, excuse me, twice. Goodness, it's been a long time since I've done that. Earlier this morning there, from the HVO folks, currently not erupting as far as the volcano goes at Kilauea. It is exhibiting signs of unrest. That's due to the earthquake activity. No upward migration has been reported from these earthquakes that are taking place there in the earthquake swarm. Summit tilt meters began to show inflationary tilt this morning, returning to the trend of high inflationary deformation that has been observed over the past several months. So on that aspect there, I do want to check the tilt meters just for myself because I want to know what's going on here. So let's get rid of some of this here, and we'll just check out the tilt meters. UWE station, which is right here. Look at that. Oh goodness, yeah, we got a pretty good inflationary tilt right here. It just came up all of a sudden, like they mentioned in their update here. This is basically vertical uplift inflation of the volcano, the area of the volcano, Kilauea volcano. So that is definitely kicking up here throughout the day today. The general trend, I don't know why I closed that. Let me go back here. The general trend, obviously, since about since it stopped erupting back in June, has been inflationary, with a sharp rise earlier this month, little dip, and now we're seeing some more magma coming into the plumbing system, intrusion, so to speak, and I expect that to continue for a little while until the eruptive status begins once again there at Kilauea volcano. It's a very active volcano here on Earth, and it doesn't stay too quiet, or doesn't stay quiet for long. Earthquake activity across the Indonesia region, very atypical. Not a whole lot across the Fiji area right now. These are our quiet zones. New Zealand not showing a whole lot of activity currently either. We're mainly looking at some uptick here across the South America region, with a couple fives kicking up here across the Peru-Chile Trench. That's a major area of producing some megaquakes historically, and no doubt it will kick up again as far as megaquake activity goes. Puerto Rico area, looks like they're having a little swarm up here across the Puerto Rico Trench with some twos, but also a 4-pointer coming in earlier this afternoon. And this is a little major area, subduction zone, that sits offshore, or off in this area as well, that's very capable of producing some large damaging earthquakes. This is all being squeezed out here between the South America plate region here and the North America area, North American plate. Kind of being bullied out there, being pushed and shoved and subducted. All right, what's this earthquake up here? What do we got? Mount St. Helens earthquake. Goodness, 2.2 coming in. Do I have a seismograph station up there? Let me back out of here real quick and see if I can find that Mount St. Helens station. You guys get to see me add a station up here. Looks like a lot of these are missing here, but give me a second. I'll see if I can pull that up. Looks like a 2-pointer coming in to the area of Mount St. Helens right now. Oh, let's see, and that looks like it's right at the crater area as well, so that's a little interesting there, to say the least. Where are we? Okay, there's Mount St. Helens. This one might work here. I don't know, it's a little iffy. This is kind of a, let's see if it keys up anything. There it is. Look at that. There's that 2-pointer showing up. Very beautiful. So I need to keep the station up here just to kind of watch what's going on here around Mount St. Helens. I mean, oh, just got rid of a Japan station But I may have to key that back up, but it wasn't really operable. But either way, there's that 2.2 showing up right smack dab, goodness, right at the crater area of Mount St. Helens, 1.3 kilometers deep. All right, maybe something brewing underneath there. Let me check out the latest. Well, you got to remember, right, the subduction zone out here, Cascadia. What happens to this land once it gets subducted? Well, you get into the mantle area, you get a little bit of melting going on. That could affect the volcanoes across the Cascades. It's very obvious here with this uptick going on across the Pacific Northwest. Mount St. Helens, let's double check this here. There's the report coming in from the PNSN network as well, 2.2. Let's go ahead and check out these other seismograph stations, see if we had anything prior to this 2.2. Maybe there's a swarm going on, we just don't know about it. Nope, there it is. That's a 2.2, beautiful image. And prior to that, maybe some smaller earthquake activity right here. This does not look like localized activity, some type of interference. Obviously, we look at defined spikes as the earthquake activity. Not for sure what this is. I didn't see anything showing up there on the PNSN network as far as earthquake activity goes, but I'm definitely going to keep this keyed up now with this little uptick here across the Mount St. Helens area. This is earthquakes, very small earthquake across the Hot Caves, Hawaii area. And Dinsmore, I don't know what's going on with that. Unfortunately, I have to keep that up there for now because the Petrolia station there in Northern California is just not working. So it's going to look a little odd, but when the earthquake activity does happen, it shows up there. So just got to deal with that for now. All right, goodness. Let's double check space weather here real quick. Didn't mean to make this such a long update, but we are looking at, well, return to the quiet conditions here across the solar weather department. We are below the C flare category. It doesn't happen too often there in the solar maximum, but it's happening. Looking at 90% chance for a C flare, M flare at 20% chance, X flare around 5% chance. 5% chance due to, well, 3415. 3415 does show a little bit of complexity here around the core of the sunspot area, although a little bit less than what it did earlier this morning. So I can't be 100% certain if this thing is growing or if it's just about ready to fade away. This area up here is fairly neutral, not a whole lot going on. We do have a welcoming sunspot here. This is the area that produced, I believe it's the area that produced that long duration M flare that produced a subsequent CME yesterday. Just barely getting a glimpse of it there on the magnetogram. Yeah, that's from yesterday right there, so we'll continue to watch that. It does look like an active region. Got some pretty bright features popping up there on the eastern limb, so we'll watch that area as it be coming around the bend. Not a whole lot going on as far as the auroras go for now. Some very minimal conditions out there, a slight chance. Looks like maybe 10% chance of auroras up there, but no major forecast out here as far as the aurora potential goes. And again, we'll continue to watch this newer sunspot region coming around for some activity. All right, folks, once again, I do have a live stream up and running as far as the Idalia tropical storm goes. I do have current satellite imagery, and I'll pop in from here from time to time a little bit more than what I do here on the earthquake live stream to cover the that impact potential out here to Florida. Definitely take heed to what's going on in the tropics right now. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow morning sometime, Monday. TGIM? No, probably not. Okay. Have a good night, folks. We'll catch you guys later.